At the start of the story, a girl dies at the hands of her own father. Tears stream down his face because this isn't the first time he's done it. It's already happened 99 times before. But after breaking down for a moment, he forces himself to stand again, realizing he's been given one final opportunity to save her. He swears to himself that this round will be different. Right now, you're probably confused about what's happening. Our protagonist is sitting in front of the TV when breaking news reveals that the entire world has collapsed into chaos because of a deadly zombie outbreak. At that moment, his daughter walks into the room and asks what's wrong. The instant he sees her, a desperate instinct kicks in, telling him he has to find a way to keep both of them alive. But after entering this brutal apocalyptic nightmare, he fails to protect her from a swarm of zombies, and the two of them end up dying together. Then suddenly, he wakes up and notices the number 99 marked on his forehead. The very first thing he does is make sure his daughter is still alive. Without explaining anything, he immediately heads outside to search for a safe place. While his daughter keeps questioning his strange behavior, a zombie suddenly attacks them. Panicking, he loses control and dies once again, only to realize the number on his forehead has dropped to 98. Every death is another sacrifice made for the sake of saving his daughter. This time, he crushes several zombies and avoids other survivors as much as possible. Yet both he and his daughter still end up captured by humans. Without hesitation, he swings a baseball bat like a madman, smashing every zombie in sight. But the moment he kills the final one, he turns around and sees the cruelest sight imaginable. His daughter has already become a zombie. She slowly reaches toward him, and unable to handle the despair, he points a gun at himself and pulls the trigger. When he revives again, tears won't stop falling from his eyes. His daughter notices his expression immediately and asks the same question as before. This time, however, he stays calm, pulling her into a tight embrace. He promises that no matter how many deaths it takes, he'll protect her until the very end. He tells her she only needs to trust him. Later on, he finds himself holding her cold, lifeless body once again, but eventually discovers shelter alongside a group of survivors. He spends years living there, trying to determine whether that place is truly safe enough for his daughter. Now, with only his final chance remaining, he decides to visit her grave before ending his own life. As he awakens for what feels like the very last loop, memories of every mistake he made during the last 40 years flood his mind. All the pain his choices caused Damie. This time, he resolves himself to make sure she survives no matter the cost. But the moment he opens the front door of their apartment, an entire crowd of zombies is already waiting outside. His mind drifts toward the one option he never wanted to accept because it terrified him more than death itself. As the zombies rush toward them, Damie screams at him to shut the door. Instead, he pushes her behind him, steps outside alone, and locks the entrance. Damie desperately pounds on the door in tears, unable to understand what her father has just done, while countless zombies begin tearing into him. Yet even that pain feels lighter than the agony of losing his daughter over and over again. As his body is ripped apart, memories of his precious Damie flash through his mind, and from the other side of the door, he gently tells her not to cry. Right when his consciousness begins fading away, something deep inside him ignites at the thought of her. In an instant, overwhelming power surges through his body, and he starts slaughtering zombies one after another without stopping. Even after getting bitten, he fights back, ripping a zombie's head off with his teeth. He punches another one hard in the gut and slams it down. The zombies just keep coming, but he's out there like a warrior. Just one fierce look from him makes him back off. Meanwhile, Damie is calming down inside the house. The door swings open, letting in a ray of hope. The sight of her dad standing there, looking like a total beast, makes her heart race. He tells Damie that even if he's not human anymore, he's still going to protect her from becoming one of them. We're on day 7 since the outbreak kicked off, and things are heating up in Seoul, especially in the Mapo district. At this grocery store, a bunch of soldiers are hanging around, trying to act tough and questioning how 2 survivors made it through when it's packed with zombies. Out of nowhere, our hero is just chilling in the shadows, while the lead soldier, who thinks he knows it all, warns him he better watch out, or he'll get shot. The guy's got his gun aimed right at him, and just because he's wearing sunglasses, the soldier calls him a celeb. Then, Captain Cha rolls in. She's tough as nails, and tells everyone to go away. She doesn't trust these two and makes it clear there's no shelter for them, so they better bounce. She even gets right in the hero's face, telling him to scram. But Min Seok, the dad, isn't having any of that. He's freaking out about his daughter's asthma. It's getting way worse after a week of running around. He begs the soldiers to help her, even saying he'd sacrifice himself if it meant saving her. This kind of love just ticks off the captain. Even the egghead soldier thinks Min Seok is being ridiculous, especially since she's not the mushy type. But then, Egghead notices something surprising. Captain Cha is actually struggling to keep her emotions in check. In the end, she lets them join the group because they could use all the help they can get. Our hero smirks, knowing the captain captain has a soft spot for parents who will do anything for their kids. Demi, though, is really annoyed with Minseok for that display. Feeling like he almost ditched her, she's faking her asthma and coughing, but only Minseok knows what's really going on. He's worried about her mental state, especially with everything changing so fast. Plus, he's got these weird zombie-like powers after getting bitten, which is making his body feel all sorts of off. Back in those early days of survival, the mart was a solid spot for supplies and safety. But then, Minseok gets distracted by a building that's collapsed nearby that he's never noticed before. One of the soldiers teases him, asking if he thinks he's got some kind of crystal ball. Explains that a few days ago, a horde of zombies attacked. The captain bravely lured them into the building and blew it up, crushing most of them under the rubble. Suddenly, Minseok goes pale when he sees something terrifying. Egghead laughs, making fun of him for thinking zombies could just jump out at any moment. But then, boom, a giant zombie appears out of nowhere, towering over the soldiers and freaking everyone out. Egghead is left speechless as the monster swings its massive arm and takes him out with one punch. And if that wasn't enough, the same zombie charges at Captain Cha, but she deftly dodges just in time while her team is losing their minds. She quickly tells her squad to start shooting at the monster, but it just shrugs off their bullets like they're nothing. The hulking zombie lets out a bone-chilling roar and jumps into action, wiping out 3 soldiers with a single uppercut. One poor guy gets caught off guard and is totally defenseless, but for some crazy reason, the zombie decides to smash him to bits, which is just brutal. Luckily, Captain Cha uses her backpack to distract the beast and manages to save that guy from being crushed. She tells him to hold it together if he wants to make it out alive. As she tries to stay focused, she realizes they're dealing with something way scarier than an ordinary zombie. Her main goal is to protect the grocery store because it's their safe haven, so she leads the survivors back there, hoping to regroup. As they are running, Minseok tries to talk, but Cha tells him to just shut up and keep moving. He's struggling to keep up, and it's triggering his dad instincts. He turns to face the zombie, ready to throw a punch with all his strength. Cha's got this plan to lure the giant zombie to a barricade outside the mart. It's super sturdy. Even this massive zombie shouldn't be able to break through. It should buy them some time to hit its weak spot. But then she freezes when she spots some survivors trapped on the first floor. Things go south when she realizes there are people inside, and the captain can't just let the monster hurt them. She decides to distract it herself, but when she looks for Damie's dad, he's nowhere to be found. Furious, she thinks he ditched his daughter. Damie points in another direction, and they see Minseok standing there looking totally surprised and out of it. The captain can't believe it. She watches as Minseok smashes the zombie's head, crushing it until there's nothing left. With one last hit, he takes it down, leaving even the toughest soldiers speechless. It's so brutal that the survivors have to look away in disgust. Minseok takes a second to catch his breath and turns to Captain Cha, who's just staring at him, trying to process what she just witnessed. Meanwhile, he brushes everyone off and quietly apologizes to his daughter for breaking his promise and revealing his true self. He admits that her safety is his top priority, which is why he jumped in. Things heat up when Cha starts getting suspicious and points her gun at him, wanting to know who he really is. Looking chill, Minseok introduces himself and starts taking off his glasses. Damie starts to panic, worried the soldiers might take him out if he spills the beans. The vibe changes when Minseok calls himself a zombie expert. Everyone goes silent, and both Cha and Damie are left wondering what he means by that. Using some serious persuasion, Minseok explains that since the apocalypse began, he's been studying zombie weaknesses and figuring out how to exploit them. That's how he took down the big guy earlier, and he's pumped to help them out. At first, Cha laughs off his excuse, but then she snaps, pressing a knife to his throat to show she's not convinced. When Damie tries to jump in, Cha shuts her down, pointing out that this so-called ordinary guy managed to crush a zombie that bullets couldn't even touch. What freaks her out more are his dark red eyes. She gets right up in his face, demanding to know if he's even human anymore. Honestly, she's so close, it looks like she might kiss him. Minseok coolly brushes off her claims, pointing out that the zombie was already pretty messed up from the bullets. Noticing she's confused, he explains that this was an eater-class zombie. Basically, when a bunch of zombies mash together into one tough creature, they are really tough because of that, but they've got a major weakness: the neck. While he talks, Minseok thinks to himself that he's not lying. Sure, a regular punch wouldn't have taken it down, but that's not his problem. When she mentions his red eyes, he just casually says it's some genetic thing that makes them low on melanin. He adds that he has to cover them up because people always stare, just like the captain is doing now. With her questions settled, he flips it around and asks if she still thinks he's a zombie. Cha goes quiet, but it's clear she's still not totally sure. Something about him feels off. Still, she figures if he was a real zombie, he wouldn't be looking out for his daughters. That thought makes her ease up enough to let them find shelter in the mall, but she warns Minseok to watch his back. Cha takes a moment to deal with the loss of her men, feeling feeling guilty when a couple of soldiers rush over to check on her. She snaps and smashes one's knee, making him drop in pain. She's furious they ignored her orders to evacuate civilians to the underground. That could have put everyone in danger. They admit they freaked out and forgot. But Cha's glare turns deadly, furious that their mistake could have endangered lives in the mall. She warns them that if they mess up again, she'll be the one coming for them, then storms off in frustration. Meanwhile, the soldier she kicked shoots her a dirty look, hinting that trouble's brewing. Inside the mart, the survivors are resting, including Minsok and Dami. She's relieved that his secret is still safe. Impressed by how easily he lied, Minsok mentions that Cha wasn't easy to fool, so he had to really commit to it. This makes Dami wonder if he and Cha know each other. That triggers a memory for Minsok. In various past lives, he got really close to Cha, but he keeps that to himself. Dami then jokes about him knowing the term bluff, saying it's something only kids use. Minsok smiles and tells her she's the one who taught him. Thanks to all the lives they've shared, he's learned a lot from her, even though Dami doesn't remember any of it. While Minsok goes off to find her a good meal, Dami tries to recall something, but her confused expression only makes him smile. When he got his powers, she made him promise to keep them a secret, because people would freak out and hurt him if they found out. As he strolls through the mart, Minsok can't help but think she's got a point. If his real identity gets out, it would send everyone into a panic. When he gets back with some food, Dami is already out cold. He gently wraps a blanket around her to keep her warm and cozy. Then, Minsok switches gears, focusing on the real problem. Zombies are getting faster and swarming his door like crazy. These mutations are evolving at lightning speed, and in just a week, everything spiraled out of control, creating all sorts of wild and unpredictable threats. One thought keeps bugging him. Why the hell are the zombies changing so quickly? He figures it's probably because of him. Out on the city's outskirts, tons of these mutated zombies are closing in. With each step, he feels them creeping closer. It's like the whole horde is after him and his daughter, trying to take out the one guy who might actually stand a chance. He can't tell if they fear him or just can't stand that he's around. But either way, they definitely see him as a threat. So what's Minsok gonna do? He strides out to meet them head on, ready to face the horde before they crash through his door. Standing out in the opens, he's practically rolling out the welcome mat, making his job a whole lot easier. And of course, he's got a ladder with him. Gotta keep it stylish. As the horde locks in on him, Minsok dares them to bring it. He snaps the ladder in half, turning it into a weapon way deadlier than any guns. His plan: wrap this up fast so Dami doesn't wake up needing breakfast. He's feeling pumped. The zombies charge at him, all piled together, trying to reach him, but Ladderman's, he's calling himself that now, charges right back, slicing and smashing through them before they even know what's happening. And these aren't just run-of-the-mill zombies. He's taking on mutations, crushing skulls, kicking them down, and taking out Eater-class zombies like it's no big deal. When he takes down the first mutant, a whole crew of them start shooting explosive blasts at him. Seriously, zombies with Kai blasts now, but Ladderman doesn't even flinch. He jumps high into the air, crashing back down with a shockwave that wipes out the whole group in one go. Then he pulls out his trusty axes, cutting through the horde even faster. Time flies as he unleashes his rage. A six-armed ugly mutant tries to block him, but Minsok stomps its face into the ground like Gojo Satoru, then neatly chops off its head with a powerful swing. Meanwhile, Dami is still fast asleep, totally clueless about the chaos outside. When she finally wakes up and stretches, she sees her dad, the same guy who just took down 100 zombies, back in the house before she notices anything's wrong. He's already whipped up breakfast, shaping it into a heart, because he knows she must be famished. She smiles and digs in happily. On the other side, in the captain's office, her crew is reporting some serious noise from past midnight. When they checked it out, they were shocked to find every last zombie gone. Cha slams her hands on the table, demanding to know how the heck this happened. One nervous soldier admits it sounds insane, but somehow, all the zombies were wiped out in just 4 hours. Then, an idea hits Cha. She orders her team to gather all the survivors. This could be their golden ticket to escape from the survivors' perspective. It feels super weird to see such a calm, clear day. There are bloodstains on the streets, but no zombies in sight. People start to celebrate, wondering where the zombies went. While they notice the eerie silence, it seems to signal one thing: the zombies are gone. After living in constant fear, the survivors finally feel a bit safe for the first time. Even Dami is confused, and tells her dad that maybe the zombies really did disappear. What Dami doesn't know is that her dad took care of the zombies himself last night. He gently puts a helmet on her head and gives her one rule: keep it on, no matter what. The serious tone in his voice suggests trouble might be coming, making Dami even more curious. Their chat gets interrupted when Captain Cha shows up with her team, megaphone in hand. She announces that they've wiped out all the zombies in the area. The survivors cheer, feeling relieved and safe at last. But that excitement quickly fades. After sharing the good news, Cha surprises everyone by ordering an immediate evacuation. The survivors protest, saying their there's no point in leaving now that the zombies are gone. Then Cha drops some new info. 3 days ago, they lost contact with the 2nd Mechanized Infantry Brigade, a top-notch group that made it through the chaos in Gyeonggi. This brigade had armored vehicles and plenty of firepower to protect civilians. Even though Cha tries to bring a bit of hope, her announcement sends everyone into a panic. They're not keen on risking their lives based on a radio call they can't even verify. Voices start rising with complaints, and while Cha tries to keep her cool, she reassures them that she knows someone from the brigade. His name is the Blue Hawk, a top soldier leading the unit. Rumor has it, his back is so ripped it looks like it has its own fan club. But while Cha totally trusts him, the survivors aren't convinced, because they have no reason to believe in some random stranger. The crowd starts getting restless, and Cha struggles to keep control. She warns them that they won't survive another zombie attack, but people are holding on to their false hope, thinking the zombies won't come back. Then one guy snaps and accuses Cha of being reckless, just because she's a woman. That claim is just plain ridiculous, but it fires the crowd up and they start blaming her for everything. Min-suk finally steps in, reminding everyone that the zombies are definitely going to return, whether they like it or not. The same guy who insulted Cha tries to argue, but Min-suk shuts him down with a fierce warning. They're all just sitting here waiting to become the next zombie snack. His words and intense glare freak the guy out so much that even his daughter wonders what's gotten into him. Min-suk points out that while escaping with the brigade isn't guaranteed, sticking around means certain death. But his harsh truth just stirs up more fear and doubt among the survivors. Min-suk steps up and throws a question at the crowd. What if they just stop taking orders and refuse help from the soldiers? His chill challenge makes everyone pause, and soon they start bickering among themselves. Bit by bit, some folks start siding with Hyeir, realizing they won't survive long in the apocalypse without the soldiers. One guy with glasses even admits they're still alive because of Hyeir's crew. That one question totally changes the mood, and soon the crowd is cheering to trust their leaders if they want to make it. Meanwhile, Cha is in shock. She was struggling to keep her ground, and this so-called zombie expert flipped the whole crowd with just one question. Now she can't stop thinking about figuring out who this blonde miracle worker really is. Min-suk is playing it cool, trying to downplay everything, saying he doesn't need thanks, even though Cha hasn't expressed any gratitude yet. The thing is, Papa Min-suk has seen his fair share of life or death moments where talking really matters, so he knows how to handle people like her. While he's at it, Min-suk lets Cha know he's just doing this to keep his daughter safe. He reaches out his hand, saying he trusts her and believes she'll get them through this. Cha is a bit surprised by his blind faith, but quickly shifts gears, kicking off the escape plan. She promises to get everyone out safe and not leave anyone behind. With buses and support vehicles lined up, they push through the chaos on the roads. Damie looks a bit irritated, probably because of her goofy helmet or not being next to her dad. Up front, Captain Cha is in charge, dodging every threat in their way. Finally, they cross the Han River, a huge win since the apocalypse started. Cha keeps her cool, reminding her team to stay alert because bigger dangers are still ahead. The soldiers spot a huge swarm of zombies trying to climb over each other to get closer. Captain Cha jumps into action, directing civilians and Team C to take one lane while she and her squad hit the left. Zombies are known for their sharp hearing oversight. Cha cleverly uses this by throwing metal cans to make noise, throwing them off track and getting them all riled up. The zombies are distracted, focusing just on the noise. She signals her team to speed up, trying to keep a safe distance even as the zombies start to pick up their pace. But there's a whole crowd of fast-moving zombies closing in, making it tough to maintain that gap. Captain Cha quickly spots a bridge ahead and orders her team to head straight for it. Here's where their second big weakness shows up. No matter how wild they act, zombies only care about chasing humans. Cha capitalizes on this by ordering her team to whip the vehicle around for a super sharp turn just before they hit the edge of the broken bridge. The zombies can't stop in time and end up crashing into each other and tumbling over the edge, while Cha's team takes back control and clears out any zombies lingering around. However, the horde isn't completely wiped out. Plenty of zombies are still hanging around. This leads to their third major weak spot. Their backs are super vulnerable, so it's all about going for the rear. That's exactly what happens when Min-suk rolls in with a huge road roller, smashing them from behind and grinding them to dust. The road roller turns into a total zombie squashing machine, flattening them like pizza dough. Some zombies are so clueless that they just walk right into it, getting themselves crushed by their own stupidity. It's a brutal scene, and Cha and her crew are left speechless. Min-suk, being the big guy he is, uses the roller to push the remaining zombies toward the edge of the bridge, sending them flying into the ocean. Meanwhile, Damie and the other civilians are on edge. Damie looks upset, still hung up on a fight they had before leaving. In a flashback, we see her arguing with Min-suk, begging him not to take the risky job with the soldiers. Her biggest fear is that her dad's secret might accidentally spill out. Luckily, now she sees him rolling back on that massive road roller covered in zombie guts, and she's just speechless. Suddenly, Captain Cha spots another wave of zombies coming their way, and tells everyone to get behind her. But before they can even react, the road roller barrels through, crushing everything in its path and clearing a safe getaway for the civilians. Because of that, the survivors make it out okay. After a tough battle, They finally reach the 2nd Brigade's base. This brigade isn't just any unit. In every loop the protagonist has experienced, this group always held out the longest. Getting here is a big deal and a key stop before they hit their ultimate goal, the safe haven in Daejeon. Making it in just 8 days is pretty impressive. Still, Minsuk's dad instincts kick in. He knows he can't let success get to his head, or history will just repeat itself. He can't lose Dami again. The thought of it makes him feel powerless, so he plans to stick to the same route he took in his past lives, trying to keep everything under control. To him, this is where the real struggle starts. But for now, he's soaking in a lot of praise for saving everyone. Even though the soldiers found the road roller, none of them had a clue how to drive it. Watching Minsuk handle it like a pro makes them think he must have worked in construction or something. He just laughs it off, saying he picked up the skill to boost his chances of survival. In the end, they made it through without losing anyone, and Captain Cha is genuinely thankful. She thanks him directly, but Minsuk can't resist teasing her about another compliment. She just shoots back with a quick, "Shut up," which makes for a pretty funny moment. Their moment gets interrupted when Sergeant Lee from the 2nd Infantry Brigade shows up, saluting Captain Cha with some respect. He mentions they were expecting her, which throws her off guard. The sergeant adds that Colonel Cha had told them someone like her would be coming. That surprises her, until he jokes that the colonel said they should be ready for a stubborn female officer, and her team erupts in laughter. Cha's not amused at all. She quickly fires back, asking where Colonel Cha is, and they tell her he's at the rear gate dealing with a sudden zombie sighting. This catches her totally off guard, especially since she knows the colonel went out with his squad to handle it. The sergeant tries to reassure her, but his nervous grin and shifty eyes say a lot more. The truth is, the colonel decided to go at it alone instead of taking his squad. That's just how tough he is. At the rear gates, soldiers are up in the tower, counting down to see how quickly he can wipe out the zombies. They're cheering him on as he takes them out in just 35 minutes. This guy prefers swinging axes over using guns, convinced that an axe is the best weapon for dealing with zombies. He loves pushing himself, getting a thrill from every swing that sends zombie heads flying. Meet the Blue Hawk, a decorated hero and the big boss of the 2nd Infantry Brigade, Cha Peng-ho. Even with all his medals, his reckless style freaks out his men. They're practically begging him to use a gun next time, because if he ever turns into a zombie, they know the world's in real trouble. Peng just laughs it off, confident he's too good for those slow, dumb zombies. He claims he knows all their moves and pokes fun at his soldiers, calling them dead weights, which they can't help but agree with, even if it stings. After he wipes out the horde solo, Peng starts to feel the aches that come with getting older. Honestly, killing zombies every day is starting to feel boring without a real challenge. But things get interesting again when an Eater-class zombie suddenly reappears. Grinning at him, it lunges at him like a creepy sleep paralysis demon. But just before it gets close, Minsuk rolls in and crushes it under a road roller, turning it into a mushy mess. The soldiers are speechless, while Colonel Peng goes into high alert. Earlier, he was bragging about sensing a zombie's strength, but now, every step Minsuk takes feels like something terrifying is closing in. It's like he's staring down the toughest zombie he's ever seen. Minsuk casually introduces himself, acting all laid back and even mentioning his journey with Captain Cha, which just confuses Peng more. He just wants to help, but the Blue Hawk feels this heavy dread coming from him, and that makes him launch a full-on attack. He swings his axe with all his might, targeting Minsuk. Soldiers can't believe their eyes, as Colonel Peng seems to be going after an ordinary guy. But then, to everyone's shock, Minsuk catches the axe with one hand, stopping that massive swing like it's nothing, something no normal person should be able to pull off. Minsuk's presence rattles the colonel so much that he quickly calls for a red alert, insisting the guy in front of him isn't human but a monster. Minsuk realizes this guy isn't as easily fooled as the others. He calmly calls Peng by name and then crushes the axe with a single punch, turning it into splinters. He makes it clear he's not going anywhere, and first on his to-do list is showing he's not a threat. At the same time, Minsuk knows he can't just talk his way in. If he really wants to convince the colonel, he'll have to do it through the one thing Peng respects the most: combat. Seeing Minsuk get ready for a fight, the colonel's lips curl into a faint smile, recognizing the challenge he's been waiting for. Without a second thought, the colonel drops his gear, ready to throw down. The Blue Hawk has taken on all kinds of wild stuff, but he didn't expect Minsuk to be so into fighting right off the bat. Locking onto Minsuk, the colonel launches himself like a missile, eager to discover what makes this guy so strong. Meanwhile, the soldiers are following orders, triggering code red all over the base. The sudden alarm has Cha demanding answers, but the soldiers just keep quiet, focused on their tasks. Then, out of nowhere, Captain Gok shows up. Before Cha can say a word, he shoves a gun in her face, testing her patience. Captain Gok is on high alert, convinced that the monster who attacked their leader is connected to Cha, since he called her out by name. To him, That's enough to see her as a potential threat. 2. Cha is confused by the term monster until the soldiers drop Minsuk's full name, Ryo Minsuk, after he introduces himself. Still, nobody at the base seems to recognize him, except for the folks who came with him. Among them, Dami is practically shaking with worry for her dad's safety. Back at the fight, Minsuk is demolishing everything like he's straight out of a comic book. One punch obliterates an entire wall, leaving the colonel dodging in shock. It's clear this guy's power is off the charts. The Blue Hawk finds it almost amusing that Minsuk insists he's just an ordinary guy. As the colonel kicks, Minsuk's superhuman reflexes easily block it. In a blink, he zips behind the colonel, moving faster than anyone can track. Minsuk is ready to land a massive hit, but the Blue Hawk's crazy speed saves him. Even caught off guards, he dodges and counters with a solid punch to Minsuk's face, landing a clean shot. It's wild watching the colonel actually hold his own against this superhuman. What a total badass. As they both catch their breaths, the colonel grabs Minsuk by the collar, accusing him of holding back. That's why he managed to dodge Minsuk's earlier punch without getting wrecked. Minsuk just shrugs it off, saying he's taking it easy because if he really went for it, the colonel wouldn't stand a chance. This isn't just some trash talk from a cocky kid. It's coming from a guy who can smash walls. It's a tough pill for the colonel to swallow, but deep down, he knows it's true. From the first move to now, his instincts are screaming that he's seriously outmatched. Confused and looking for answers, the colonel wants to know what Minsuk's deal is. Minsuk says he's there to ask for protection. The colonel bursts out laughing, thinking it's ridiculous that the strongest guy he's ever fought is now begging for help like a scared civilian. But Minsuk isn't worried about himself. He reveals the real reason. His daughter, Ryudami, is stuck with soldiers alongside Hai. Even with all his crazy power, all Minsuk wants is a safe spot for his daughter with the brigade's protection. Knowing that words aren't enough, Minsuk drops to his knees. He doesn't care about pride or reputation. He just wants Dami safe. He even says he'll do whatever the colonel asks, as long as it means keeping his daughter safe. That night, things move to the civilian shelter, where the brigade usually keeps survivors safe. But now, it felt different. The word monster associated with Minsuk was spreading like wildfire, making everyone nervous. Stories about his insane strength and weird eye color fueled the rumors, and soon people were convinced he could be a zombie in disguise. Even though Minsuk had done everything to earn the colonel's trust, he was still locked up. He couldn't help but think about the Blue Hawk's promise to protect his daughter and the others. But the colonel made it clear, Minsuk was a whole different problem. A guy with that kind of power was just too much of a risk to let loose. Out of the blues, Minsuk thought it might be a good idea to lock himself up. He figured that if he stayed put, the brigade would see he wasn't a threat. But even stuck on his own, his daughter Dami managed to sneak in and brighten his day from the other side of the barrier. Just seeing her smile lifted his spirits. Dami filled him in on what was going on. After the emergency alert was lifted, the soldiers were keeping an eye out for them, and they even let her come visit. She mentioned how much she disliked the crowded shelter. Minsuk felt guilty for not keeping his promise to her, and as he apologized, it caught Dami off guard. He just couldn't shake the feeling that she was let down because he hadn't protected her like he said he would. But Dami wasn't having any of that. She banged on the window and reminded him of all the good stuff he had done. If it weren't for him, the civilians wouldn't be safe. She told him to let go of the guilt and be proud of himself, no matter what anyone else thought. It hurt to see her standing by him when so many were doubting him, but Dami's faith in him never wavered. She reassured him again that she totally believed in him. Their moment wrapped up as Dami realized she had to rush back for roll call. She waved goodbye and dashed off, leaving Minsuk feeling all warm and fuzzy inside just from seeing her. Even while he was stuck, reality hit hard when Dami walked away, and she couldn't hold back her tears. She was trying to be strong in front of her dad, but it was tough. Minsuk felt just as bad. Even though they had a sweet moment, they were both hurting from being apart. Things started turning around when Sergeant Lee stopped by Minsuk's cell to let him know the colonel wanted to see him. In the next scene, the Blue Hawk pointed to a spot on the map where they thought some survivors were still holding on. They had just received a signal confirming it, but along with that signal came some weird, unknown frequency. There was no time to waste. This mission needed a tight, efficient team. The colonel had put together an elite duo, just him and Minsuk. It was obvious they were about to tackle the zombies with their two-man operation, but the colonel had one more thing in mind. He wanted to see if Minsuk had what it took to do whatever for his daughter. As soon as Minsuk heard those words, he casually snapped his chains like a superhero, showing that he could have broken out whenever he wanted, but held off just for his daughter's sake. He asked when they were heading out, and the colonel smiled, saying they were leaving right away. In the final shot, the two of them radiated an intense vibe, making it clear that the zombies at Gutbull Station were in for a serious challenge. And just like that, the Gutbull Station rescue operation kicked off. We roll into a station that looks like a total mess. Everything just left behind. In one corner, a little kid was chattering away in her mom's arms. Some other survivors are hiding in the shadows. As the kid makes noise, the survivors become increasingly annoyed. An old lady shushes them, but nobody's paying attention to why the baby's crying. Out of nowhere, the mom's eyes narrow as she spots someone creeping around in the wreckage of the station. A spooky, grinning zombie pops out from the shadows right inside the place. Outside, the undead are going wild, tearing everything up. Then, a bright light suddenly shines on one of their faces, and a big truck comes barreling through, smashing them to bits. Behind the wheel is the colonel. Our hero, he's pumped, bragging that his truck is way better than Minsok's roller. They sped toward the station. The colonel lays out the situation, saying there are two big problems. First, the entrance to the station is totally collapsed, and the subway tracks are blocked. Second, there's some unknown creature stuck inside with the survivors. With no time to waste, the plan is to get in through a vent and quickly save the survivors. But then, our hero pipes up and tells the colonel he's totally against the plan. Catching him off guard, he warns that it'll end up just like all the other failed missions, because the colonel has never brought anyone back alive. Just then, we see the kid's mom snap awake, looking really tense. She realizes they're all hanging upside down, stuck in a weird web. She starts to freak out, wondering what's going on and where her baby is. As she falls down with the other survivors, she cries out, asking where her little girl is. Meanwhile, one dude is still hanging up there. He shouts at them to help him untie. Then, he notices a granny right beside him. Watching him, he wonders what she is planning to do. Just then, the granny unveils her zombie appearance and bites off his head. Everyone on the ground just freezes. This dude falls to the ground and stands, but he completely turns into a zombie too. Everyone panics as it attacks them. The rest of the survivors start to run for their lives. They don't know where the zombies came from. The mom's still yelling for her daughter when she suddenly hears a baby crying from the basement. Without hesitating, she changes direction. A young boy tries to shout a warning about the entrance. His dad tells him to keep running, but because they stopped for a moment, the zombies jump on them. Meanwhile, the mommy keeps running towards the sound, but just as she reaches there, she is devastated. It is a giant creature, devouring a human head. It has 4 limbs with a pathetically giant baby body. It roars and then grabs the helpless lady. She couldn't believe that her daughter had turned into such a dreadful monster. The monster weeps as it uncontrollably opens its jaws to kill her. She can only hope it's her nightmare. But just then, fire lights up in that area, followed by a massive boom. The zombie cries out, and surprisingly, the woman slips away from its grip. Our hero is cruising through the station, ready to share with the colonel that this mission can't be pulled off just by regular human means. Now he's right in the middle of that blast, radiating a totally unexpected vibe. So, our guy finds out that the spider monster is actually a skinwalker that knocks people out cold with its voice, which is how it got the survivor. But he doesn't flinch and goes straight at it in that blazing fire. The monster shrieks from a distance, but it doesn't faze him one bit. It tries to shoot a web at him, but he grabs hold of it. Then he swings the thing around a bunch and messes up its mouth pretty good. And to top it off, he sets the whole place on fire since that's the monster's significant weakness. Now our hero dad bolts in to throw one last epic punch to shut everything down for good. But then the kid's mom yells for him to stop. He skids to a halt and turns to see her totally breaking down, begging him not to hurt her kids. Now the distance between our boy and the monster is cut in half, so the beast shrieks again. Our hero gets pushed away, barely conscious, but the woman dashes to the ground instantly. Although our guy braces his ground a little, the monster pours out another devastating cry, and the impact pins our boy to the ground. He barely finds any strength to resist as fog fills his brain. Suddenly, a thought of Damie flashes across his mind, pushing him not to lose so early. Our dude goes berserk. He lifts his head high and smacks it on the floor. Shattering it, he keeps on pounding his head until the fog clears out. The monster shrieks again, but this time, a soul-ripping lower cut ends things for good. My boy just blows off the face of the beast with sheer arm strength, while the monster continues blabbing and crying. He puts his knee on its face to shut its mimicking mouth that has fooled the kid's mommy. After putting this pathetic beast to the flames, it finally starts to cry out. Our hero gasps that from now on, the only thing that will come out of its mouth with a menacing tone is a scream. Just then, the monster screams hard, but our hero rips apart its jaws and finally kills it. Meanwhile, on the other side, zombies struggle through a door while the few survivors are pushing from the other side. They are all panicking because if the monster somehow breaches the door, they are all dead men. One dude feels that the monsters are quite eccentric, as they don't make any noise and their expressions are so bizarre, but others suggest he cut the crap and focus on sealing the door. Just then, they all smell fire smoke and wonder where it is coming from. They start to cough hard in this closed room. One guy is almost shitting his pants, fearing they are all dead in a few seconds. They tell him to shut his mouth if he just has unlucky shit to say. Just then, a young dude asks his father if he also feels that the movements from the other side of the door have stopped. Everyone is stunned and silent. As they stand over the door, it suddenly breaks. He shouts to get down, but the young boy's father is shocked. Seeing the aftermath, he asks who it is, but little do they know it's Minsalk, who casually walks in carrying the unconscious lady after killing every single zombie in the station. You might be curious why Minsalk hasn't really brought the gutsy colonel into the mix at all. Well, he's clearing out the whole area from any zombie trouble, and the plan is for our hero to handle the rescue operation inside the station, while also cleaning up the tracks. Surprisingly, there are 37 survivors in total. In such an isolated spot, saving them seems impossible. During the rescue, while they're busy moving debris, they stumble upon a little baby tucked away in a vent. Safe and sound, the mother is shocked but super relieved to find her child okay. In the end, almost 40 people make it out, and it feels like a miracle. Everyone's celebrating their rescue, and our hero is now the guy everyone's calling a miracle worker. The captain is in disbelief. The soldiers are amazed, and even the colonel gives our boy props for nailing it. As everyone's celebrating, the little girl's finally back with her dad, hugging him tightly, so relieved he's alright. After all the craziness, a few injured survivors are getting looked after in the living quarters. A soldier notices one guy who's coughing a lot and keeps dozing off. He hands him some fruit and casually says he'll grab some medicine later. As the other sergeant heads out and closes the door, the guy lies there with his eyes shut. Suddenly, his neck infection flares up, and in a flash, he turns into one of those skin crawlers. The brigade is buzzing. Everyone's celebrating with the rescue team. The colonel's laughing loud, slapping our hero on the back. He says he always knew the guy had something in him, just never thought he'd pull it off this well. He suggests they party all night but keep it chill. Too much booze and the ones who didn't make it might feel like crap. Then he raises his drink to the bottles and the stars, a toast to the fallen, and clinks glasses with our hero for the ones who managed to get out of this nightmare alive. But our hero doesn't say anything. He just sits there for a beat, then asks the colonel why he never asked. Back when everyone thought the plan was doomed and he looked like a monster, why didn't the colonel want to know what was going on with him? The colonel just shrugs, says he already knows. He doesn't care about the details. What matters is that the guy was dead set on saving people. That's all he ever needed to see. Our hero smiles, tells him he hasn't changed at all. The colonel frowns but the hero waves it off. Then the colonel asks why he's still hanging around anyway. His goal was Dijon. He could have been there by now. Our hero says he's got some unfinished business with the brigade. He hesitates, thinking about how every time he gets impatient, every time he rushes things, he ends up losing his daughter. The colonel nods like he gets it. The hero asks how he could possibly know that, and the colonel just says he can tell. A child's the most important thing in the world, he says, but also the hardest thing to deal with. The hero mutters that he hasn't seen Captain Cha lately. The colonel shifts uncomfortably, but before he can answer, Damie walks up. She says she's more tired than usual and wants to head in first. Her dad gets up to go with her. It's dark out and they should stick together. The colonel watches them walk off, eyes cold. He can't believe the guy can still smile like a dad after everything. His face tightens. He decides he can't let Min-seok leave. Anger twists his features as he thinks this might be his shot at putting Pung-ho's plan back in motion. He turns to Captain Cha, asking if he brought the beer, but Cha's pale, sweating buckets. He stammers that something's seriously wrong. Cut back to the hero walking with his daughter. His head's full of the colonel's words, that a child is the most precious thing in the world, but also the hardest to handle. He asks Damie if she ever gets scared. Even when he looked different, she stuck with him. Wasn't she afraid at all? Her answer hits like a punch. She says she's scared every single day. Scared her dad might kill her too. She says she's done pretending to be the perfect daughter. Then staring him dead in the eye, she asks where her real dad is, before turning away and calling him a monster. The hero feels a wave of dread crash over him. Then she shakes him, asking what's going on in his head. He forces a smile and says it's nothing. She laughs a little, but then starts coughing hard. He asks if she's okay. She admits it won't stop. He tells her to grab a jacket and go inside. He'll get some medicine. Suddenly, everything spins. He calls her name and bolts toward her faster than he realizes. She freezes, scared, arms up like she's bracing for a hit. His fist shoots into the air, then slowly opens. Inside his palm is a squashed zombie mosquito. Before either of them can even breathe, a deafening alarm rips through the night. Code black. Evacuation orders blare across the base. And back inside, Captain Cha's already changing, his pale face twisting into something inhuman. The colonel just stares, stunned, as it happens right in front of him. The colonel can't shake off Min-seok's warning about those sneaky zombies getting tougher and the danger they brought. An infected soldier suddenly lunges at him, and he quickly grabs it by the neck, ripping its face apart. Min-seok picked this spot mainly because the Blue Hawk colonel is pretty strong. Everyone's tense with the zombie threat creeping into the brigade, so the colonel tells them to lock down the shelter without wasting any time. As they scramble to get in, he catches a glimpse of the infected soldier's head and starts wondering how the virus made its way into his team. He spots a scar on its neck, and just then, someone yells that more zombies are coming their way. A boot comes crashing down on the zombie's head, and the colonel just manages to save the soldiers in the nick of time. He grabs a piece of wood and smacks it against a zombie. Looking ahead, he tells his soldiers to grab his gear and get Min-seok for backup. More zombies swarm toward him, and he's furious that they are running wild in his territory. The colonel goes to work with the plank, hacking and smashing away without a break. He claims the area as his own, throwing punches and landing blows until he caves in the face of one zombie. The plank driving deep, he doesn't stop, swinging again to crush the next one that comes at him. Suddenly, another zombie jumps on his back, but he manages to wrench the wood free from its mouth and toss it off. Just when he thinks he has a handle on things, a massive undead creature with a titan-like face crashes down on him, fueling his rage even more. His roar echoes through the air so loud, it rattles the civilians hiding inside the shelter. Inside, our hero finishes gearing up Damie from head to toe. She's still confused, not sure what kind of enemy they're bracing for. He explains it's a mosky, a mosquito-like zombie whose bite quietly infects people, only showing its effect after some time. Our hero did not expect this, having only seen this variant once in his past life. But so what? He grits his teeth and tells himself that is no excuse. His daughter stares in confusion, startled by the sudden rage on his face. His thoughts race. If his daughter dies, then everything is over. The moskies will not stop. They will come in endless swarms, while the real body remains hidden somewhere outside the dark shelter. Captain Cha is stunned to hear about mosques. One soldier explains that Min Seok suspects a link between the zombies and mosquitoes, warning her to cover up exposed skin. At the mention of Min Seok's name, she falls silent, then ties a bandana around herself and repeats the order to her soldiers. She asks where the brigade commander is, but before the soldier can answer, another voice calls from the rooftop. A guard reports that there is a zombie outside the brigade and that it looks unusual. When she asks about it, the guard struggles to describe what she sees. The soldier mutters that it looks like a twisted toad. Suddenly, the creature opens its mouth wide and a swarm of mosquitoes pours out, flooding the sky above the brigade. The guard freezes in shock as the cloud of moskies rises higher into the sky, terrifying everyone. Captain Cha quickly orders her soldiers back into the shelter. Just as she looks up again, someone leaps above. She recognizes him instantly as Min Seok. Earlier in the shelter, one guy yelled at Min Seok, but he wouldn't budge. He insisted that fighting wasn't his thing and that he was just there to protect his daughter. Then his daughter jumped in and told everyone not to stress about her. She really wanted everyone to survive, but she knew she couldn't do it herself, so she begged him to save everyone instead. Our hero steps out with a gun, aiming at the moskies. With only one plan in mind, he prepares for a night strike of flame, the only way to wipe moskies out. The hero starts cooking the moskies right in front of the toad. As the ashes start to fall, the toad just watches while the hero gives it a sharp look. The toad jumps high enough to dodge the flames, which makes the hero grit his teeth, but he doesn't let it get away. He leaps after it. Just as he lands, Captain Cha rolls her jeep right underneath him, catching him off guard. He's surprised, but she quickly asks if he knows how to take out the toad. He hesitates for a moment, but then admits that he does. While they race after the toad, she says it's good because they'll tackle the undead first. She's got questions stacked up like crazy, and if Min Seok tries to pull any more tricks, she's not letting him off the hook this time. The hero just watches her for a bit before plopping down and letting her get started on cooking. Then we switch to this valley where there's a spooky cave entrance. A little toad hops in and suddenly it's screaming. Out of nowhere, a faint red glow starts to show, and we see it's this crazy, five-eyed zombie creature called a slider. It's not just any zombie. This thing can replicate and spawn more of its kind like it's no big deal. One panicked toad leaps towards the cave because the main body of it is a slider, which usually hides in the darkest places, like caves, making it hard to track down. That's why our hero feels the need is to ambush. He sneaks, attacks the giant toad, and slams it hard on its head. Before dying, the toad releases a swarm of mosquitoes into the air. The nasty bugs buzz straight toward our guy, but a sudden burst of fire sweeps through, burning them up instantly. Captain Cha steps in with her fire gun, covering his back. They come back to their jeep, and she gets the update from the brigade. She informs that the brigade is entirely in a complete cleaning stage, so all the civilians and Min Seok's daughter are safe now. Even if a problem arises, the brigade has the resilience to recover quickly, and that resilience isn't by chance. It's only possible because of strong leadership. Our hero says that's why he came to the colonial brigade. He thanks her, but she says to forget it because he's the one who saved them after all. The quick suppression was thanks to the accurate first response, and she heard the one who made that call was also him. But suddenly our hero says it's not over yet. Looking at that cave openings, he says if they don't kill the host, the brigade will be in danger again, and the matter now is just killing the slider. Captain Cha says he needs to cut off its escape route. Right, and our hero agrees, saying that's the key to not giving it a chance to bounce back. But he knows that's not enough. He remembers that this creature has a crazy ability to multiply, so much that you can't even keep track of how many there are. From his past life, he knows their bodies are all connected in some weird network. So even if you take out the main one, as long as any of the little ones are still alive, the main one just comes back. After a moment, the captain starts to feel like there's no way out of this. She asks him again if he's got a plan, and our hero says he does. Min Seok steps into the cave and hits the stone wall hard. His blow is so strong that the rocks above come crashing down, sealing the entrance and trapping Captain Cha outside while he's stuck inside with the sliders, ready to keep fighting until it's over. Our boy thinks about the possibility of zombies attacking her daughter to get that dopamine hit, and says that killing this slider all at once. His rage is far too hot for that, so he turns on fighting the slider, and its cry even echoes outside the cave. Captain Cha is really confused by Min Seok's wild behavior. She remembers the colonel mentioning that Min Seok isn't just important for their brigade. He's supposed to be the answer for all of humanity. Suddenly, a soldier starts talking through the walkie-talkie. She replies, but there's no response. She tries again, but it's just dead silence. The next day starts, and while the sun shines bright, a bloody hand shows up from the cave rubble. Min Seok shows up after 18 hours locked with a slider. The slider responds spawned a staggering 7 million entities, and every one of those entities was annihilated by a single transcendent. Every bone in his body was shattered during the fight, but then he began to realign, his muscles knitting back together as he rose to his feet, radiating an indescribable awe. Back at the brigades, Captain Cha is shocked to see the commander. The commander is casually munching on snacks, looking a bit puzzled by Captain Cha's annoyed face. She's been trying to get someone on the radio for ages with no luck. Out of the blues, the commander bursts out laughing, and her expression turns pale. He remembers that just yesterday she was fuming because he brushed her off, but now she seems genuinely worried he might kick the bucket. A soldier quickly fills her in that the commander took out all the zombies without any gear and got everyone to safety. The commander admits he's feeling a bit hurt, which is a new one for him. While Captain Cha can't help but think that it's silly to worry about such an old tough guy, he quickly reminds her that's no way to speak to her superior, before suddenly asking why she's alone. He asks where Minsok is, and whether she managed to take care of that grotesque toad-like zombie. As the memory of him calling Minsok humanity's hero yesterday flashes through her mind, everything slowly starts making sense the moment she sees Minsok standing there drenched in blood, staring directly at her. Several days pass, and while relaxing with a cold drink in hand, Captain Cha finds herself grateful to Minsok for giving everyone these peaceful and secure days. Looking down below, she notices the commander talking with him and decides it's the perfect chance to approach. Quietly listening from nearby, she overhears the commander asking why Minsok and his daughter insist on leaving that very night. The commander sounds deeply concerned, warning him that rushing toward another city is too dangerous. If a monster even worse than a slider appears, everything could spiral out of control instantly. He suggests that they should remain there until they've become stronger, but Minsok coldly responds by asking why any of that should matter to him. To him, whether those people survive or die means absolutely nothing. Those words instantly ignite Captain Cha's anger. She storms forward, demanding to know how he can say something like that. Minsok doesn't hesitate for even a second, declaring that the only person who matters to him is his daughter, and nothing else in this world means anything beyond her. Unable to hide her frustration, Captain Cha turns around and walks away. Sometime later, our protagonist reveals that every single time he chooses the early Amart route, something abnormal always happens. After constantly lingering between life and death alongside him, Captain Cha gradually begins forming an emotional bond with him. But before those feelings grow any deeper, he decides it's safer to create distance between them for her own protection. When he explains his decision to the commander warns him not to overdo it. He says there's no reason to push her away that harshly and asks if he truly believes the next city will somehow be free from monsters. The commander even proposes that they work together to build a proper shelter capable of protecting everyone. For a moment, Minsok admits the offer is tempting. If they combine their strengths, they could create powerful defenses strong enough to survive almost anything. But he already knows they don't have enough time left. In his previous life, the slider didn't appear until 10 years later. Yet now it has returned after only 10 days. If other high-level zombies begin evolving that quickly too, the entire place will collapse long before they can fully prepare. So he makes his intentions clear. Tonight, he and his daughter are leaving for Dajin. The scene then shifts toward a horrifying creature roaming through the city. Its body is covered with grotesque infected flower-like growths as it moves alongside a massive wave of zombies all traveling in the same direction. From far away, our protagonist races toward them at full speed inside his roller. The creature releases a terrifying scream, but before it can even respond, a gunshot instantly blows its body apart. At that moment, he recalls the proposal he once made to the commander, which explains why the commander is now fighting beside him on the battlefield. Their vehicles thunder forward as they crash into the horde, firing non-stop and mowing down zombies everywhere they go. He remembers telling the commander that every survivor dreams about finding the ultimate shelter, and he wonders if the commander feels the exact same way. In response, the commander simply gives him a thumbs up while glancing toward his daughter, who sits safely and happily inside the armored vehicle he personally stole for them. As he drives directly into the endless horde, one certainty fills his mind. No matter whether this city survives or gets destroyed, he and his daughter will witness the outcome together with their own eyes.